It is the second class of Chapter 25, Professional Ethics and in Accounting and Business. And in this chapter, our focus is on professional ethics. Before going into details about professional ethics, so let's explain what is a professional or what is a profession. A profession, as opposed to other types of occupation, there are several factors it has to follow in order to define a profession. First, the mastering of specialized skills during a period of training. So first of all, the profession or the professional requires a period of training. So it cannot say you get the skills without any training or just learn maybe with only 1 or 2 hours. It cannot be defined as a profession. So a profession needs to have the skills, first of all, or specialized skills with a period of training. And another key is mastering. So it's not just a learning stage. He or she should master the skills after a period of training. And another key characteristics or factors for profession is it has to be governed by a professional organization. So that means there's a professional organization to set the ethical code. So compliance with an ethical code is the third factor of a profession. The professional organization governs its member with the ethical codes set into the organization. So all the members have to comply with it. And the profession has to act in the public interest. No matter the persons employed by an organization, he or she should act in the public interest as well. And for this factor, I will explain to you in later part of this class. The fifth factor is a process of certification before being allowed to practice. In other words, like the professional accountant or doctor or lawyer, they learn, they have to be trained for a period of time. They have to join a professional organization to comply with the ethical codes in the organization and act in the public interest. And most important is if they would like to practice, they have to obtain a certification in which they have to go through the process in order to obtain the certification. And in many countries, it is also possible for unqualified people to call themselves, say, accountants and set themselves up in business. It's not necessary to be a person in a professional organization to call them, say, accountants. In some countries or in many countries, they can do it. However, such people are not professional accountants because they do not belong to a professional accountancy body and have no obligation to follow an ethical code. So in other words, you can name yourself accountant. It's okay because it's no, in many countries they have no such rule or law disallow the people to call themselves accountants. But if you put the name professional accountant, then you have to be part of a professional organization such as ACCA, and you have to follow the ethical code in order for you to claim yourself as a professional accountant. So here is the difference between professional accountant and accountant. And as we mentioned about for professions, they are distinguished from the other occupation because they have the code of conduct that all members of that profession are required to follow. And for accountant, the same. They have to follow different set of codes of ethics under the, say, in ACCA. And it ensures that the profession as a whole does not have its reputation damaged by the questionable actions of some of its individual members. So the people or the person join a professional organization and follow through the training standards and comply with all code of ethics, they can claim themselves a ACCA member, for example. And if you put your name, say like Tommy, and put your name Tommy, and after that you put ACCA, it means that you are a qualified ACCA members, and just to present your name card to others, it shows to others that you meet the standards accepted by ACCA as a professional or qualified accountant or professional accountant, and it helps to for others to know you well, because you are already an ACCA member, and the other knows, oh, right, you meet the professional standard as required by this professional organization, and you have to follow through all of code standards and training requirements and other development requirements as well, because it helps to protect the professional organization reputation. And if for any members they cannot fulfill the requirements, or even they don't follow through the ethical standards, they damaged the professional organization's reputation, then actions will be on those individual members. Next, we move on to the second topic of professional ethics, is professional codes of ethics. Both the International Federation of Accountants, or what we call IFAC, and the ACCA have developed code of ethics for their members. And for the IFAC, it has issued a code of ethics through the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, or what we call IESBA, which is a body of IFAC. And the IFAC code lays down ethical standards to be applied by practicing accountants across the world. So for IFAC, it is an organization to issue the code of ethics through the board called IESBA. And this code, what we call the IFAC code, lay down the foundations of the ethical standards that all practicing accountants in the world have to follow. So there are five key elements under the IFAC Code of Ethics, or what we call fundamental principles, like objectivity, professional competence and due care, professional behavior, confidentiality, and integrity. So we have 5 elements or 5 fundamental principles under this IFAC Code of Ethics. So here, for these ethics, all practicing accountants have to follow through. And under ACCA, the ACCA published its Code of Ethics and Conduct in the annual rulebook. So in the rulebook, or in the annual rulebook published by the ACCA, it contains the Code of Ethics and Conduct. And for all registered students, like all of you, registered students of ACCA, affiliates means passed all exams, ACCA exams, passed all exams, but cannot meet the requirements of, say, like the professional experience requirements. Then they have to wait until certain others, until the conditions are met in order to be a qualified members of ACCA. So for all students, registered students, affiliates, and members of ACCA are required to comply with the Code of Ethics and Conduct, no matter they are in practice or not in practice. And the ACCA code, how can they put in the rulebook? The code is based on the IFAC code and takes a similar conceptual framework approach, listing an identical set of fundamental principles that must be followed. As I just mentioned, for the IFAC code, the codes have to be adopted or complied by all practicing accountants in the world. And ACCA is one of the key members of International Federation of Accountants, the IFAC, the Accountants International Federation of Accountants. So all ACCA members have to follow the code as well. So you can see the fundamental principles here under ACCA Code of Ethics and Conduct are the same as what we described from the IFAC code, including integrity, professional behavior, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and objectivity. So we mentioned 5 principles. So what do they mean? And here we explain 5 principles step by step, one by one. First, confidentiality. Confidentiality is explaining about the information obtained by professional accountants. For those information obtained in a business relationship, is not to be disclosed to third parties without specific authority being given to do so, unless there is a legal or professional reason to do so. This information should not be used for the personal advantage of the accountant. So what does that mean? It means that for all information obtained through the business relationship, that means through the work performed by the professional accountant, and is not allowed to disclose to any other third party without any specific authority. If you would like to disclose the information to other third party, you need to have the permission from the company, say for example company, in order to disclose to others, except legal or professional reason. In some countries, maybe there's legal requirements for the professional accountants or for anybody in the organization to disclose some confidential information. Then it's by law, but in general case, it's not allowed or it's not professionally accepted to do it. And the information cannot be used as for personal advantage for the accountant. That means you cannot use this confidential information for your stock trading or any other benefits for yourself, because you use the information to benefit for yourself. It's not allowed. It's also one of the key elements under the confidentiality. And the second principle is objectivity. All accountants or professional accountants here must ensure that their business or professional judgment is not compromised because of bias or conflict of interest. In other words, for accountants, it's better not to trade the stock that you are working for that particular company, because you have the conflict of interest. Auditor, say for example, a lot of auditors, they are not allowed to trade the stock they are working for the companies. Say they are working for ABC company, and the ABC company is listed in the stock exchange. They are not allowed to buy or sell particular this ABC company stock, because there is an issue about conflict of interest. And third principle is integrity. This implies fair dealing and truthfulness. Accountants should not be associated with any false, misleading, or recklessly provided statements. So professional accountants should be honest and report the truth instead of any misleading information, for example, in the statements. That is about integrity. And the fourth principle is professional competence and due care. everybody make mistakes, okay? No matter you are the accountant as well, but accountants are required to have a necessary professional knowledge and skills required to carry out work for clients, and must follow all applicable technical and professional standards when carrying out that work. So it means that the professional accountants need to perform the work in a professional manner with the knowledge and skills as well. And also they have to ensure the whole process, the work process, should be at the highest standard to ensure all items should be correct and accurate. One person can make the mistake, but two persons can say one person do the work and the others to perform the review. Then it has the check and balance procedures to ensure the work from this professional accounting firm is at the highest standard. It ensures professional competence and due care. And the fifth principle, fundamental principles, is professional behavior. Accountants must comply with all relevant laws and regulations and must avoid any actions that would bring the professional into disrepute. So that means that accountants, first of all, I think it's most important is to comply with law. Okay, everybody has to comply with relevant laws and regulations, and also avoid any actions that may hurt about the reputation. It's about professional behavior. Sometimes it's about the image of a certain or particular profession. So for accountants, because professional accountants is governed by the professional organization, they have to follow through the respective professional organization's rules and law as well. Here is an example or illustration about the code of ethics. ACCA is one of the biggest or largest professional accountants organization in the world, and it published the ACCA Code of Ethics and Conduct that binds all members and students as well. And in 2020, it made a news announcement about a student. The student is taking the corporate and business law exam. It's a computer-based exam, and it's found that the student used or in possession of a device capable of taking photos which she had on her desk. Because in the rule book or in the communication between ACCA and the students, it is very clear what device or what items can be put on the table, and it's found the students, she is not follow through the rule. It's found the device is able to take the photos, and her conduct was found and to be dishonest, that she gained some unfair advantage for herself in the exam because of the device. And also in the investigation stage, she is found not cooperative with the investigation as well. So finally, the found device and the students are not cooperative in the investigation. The disciplinary committee found the student to be guilty of misconduct and ordered that she is to be removed. She will be removed from the ACCA student register, as well as she needs to pay the fine to the ACCA as well. And in this case, that you can see how the ACCA Code of Ethics will affect the students. Even she's not in practice, she just go into the exam room to take the corporate and business law exam. But if in this case she does not follow the rules or the regulations, then ACCA can take actions on such misbehavior. And for accountants, what's the role in promoting ethical behavior? Okay, at the beginning of this class, we talked about public interest. So it's about the public interest of a professional accountant. And in the commercial world, at many business meetings or even board of directors meeting as well, it is only the professional accountant who belongs to a profession and therefore has a duty to act in the public interest. So it's quite clear the professional accountant like joined the ACCA as an ACCA member. He's finally to be in his career path. He can be promoted as one of the key members in the board of directors in an organization, and maybe he or she is only the one member in the board as belong to the professional body. And as we mentioned, professional body has a duty to act in the public interest as well. And what does the public interest means? For public interest, it refers to the common well-being or general welfare of society. And professional accountants must consider this, as they have a wider duty to act in the best interest of the public at large, as well as to the business and its owners. So remember, here is not just the owners or the business. The professional accountants is also act in the best interest of the public as well. So to be careful of what a professional accountant behave in an organization, if there's a conflict between the owner's interest or business interest and the public interest, the professional accountant has a special role in promoting the ethical behavior throughout the business, to explain the consequences of not ethical or not good to the public interest. The professional accountant has to voice out to the board as well. So the question here, let me walk through this question and for you to understand about what we discussed in this class. Thomas works in the accounts department of a large multinational company. If profits for the company are above a certain level, Thomas will receive a large bonus. Because of this, he decides to manipulate some of the expenses, artificially increasing the profits and allowing him to get a bonus. So based on what we learned on the fundamental principles, and which of the principle has Thomas not breached? Okay, so we can recall some of the concepts that we learned, like confidentiality, professional behavior, integrity, and objectivity. So which principles has Thomas not breached? Whether he disclosed the numbers to outside is about the third party, is about the confidentiality. Professional behavior. For professional behavior, it means accountants have to comply all relevant laws and regulations. Do you think whether Thomas, can comply with the laws and regulations here by artificially increasing the profits? And integrity, whether these actions by Thomas is fair dealing or truthfulness. And objectivity, whether Thomas can ensure that the business or professional judgment is not compromised as well. So I think after going through the key concepts behind these principles, you can answer this question by picking which one is not breached.